So yesterday we did one of those older penny roll wrappers, and sure enough, it was 100% copper. Now, the chance of you finding 100% copper is penny roll is very, very low, and what you're more likely to find is a penny roll wrapper like this at your bank. So you go to your bank with $1 or two, and they'll give you 2, 3, 4 penny rolls like this. And that means that a customer, somebody brought them in, right? That they have an account at the bank and they've been saving their pennies recently, 2024, 2025, or maybe even 2023. And they saved 50 of those pennies and they brought them in. They have no idea. The people who brought those pennies in more than likely have no idea about pennies, what's copper, what's not copper. Or they wouldn't put copper pennies in there because they're worth more than a cent, right? Okay. So as you can see in this penny roll, there is most likely at least 3 coppers. Believe it or not, these here probably are not copper. Those are probably zinc. One might be copper, but they also might not be copper. Really, like the ones to me that look like copper is probably this third one here. Can that one be copper too? Excuse me, the fourth one. Can the third one be copper? Possibly. Can the second one be copper? Possibly. But most likely the third one. And then here, the second brown looking one. And that one after the second probably is not copper. All right, so let's look. I wonder if I can keep it at this distance, and then I'll just zoom in if I see anything. Well, it's our first penny, and I already feel like I see something on the rim. So let me take a look at that. All right. Could be a strike through or something, but it's very small, so I will call it insignificant. All right. So our first coin is a zinc, right? And look at that. Our second one. So now we're wondering about these next 3. And then we got a copper, misaligned die. All right, so I got lucky on this one. It's a nice excuse me, drink some water. It's a nice misaligned die. Condition's pretty good. I don't think there's that Y has doubling. You can see that. Let me look at this off camera because even the R looks like there might be doubling on the R. And usually you don't see it on the R unless it's a double die. Look at that. I don't even have to look at the camera. Look at the top of the R. Let me get my little pointer. Look at the top of the R. I can see it through the camera. There's doubling on the top. This is probably N on the E and the Y. Now the Y looks like it might be twisted. Actually, I gotta be honest with you, it looks like a double die on the Y too. But the R and the E, you can see the extra or the first strike R E on the top. Let me look at that under the loop. Where's my loop? My handy dandy. And that will, yeah, that is sweet, man. And then in the motto on the bottom of the N, it's also doubled. But that E and R is something else. But and look at the bottom of the N and the N. Because it's doubled also here. Maybe even on the I, but definitely on the N on the bottom. If you want to get a little closer, we can. Oh boy, look at that. Look at that. Hardly ever seen on the top of the E and the R like that. Hardly ever. All right, so we got lucky. All right, let's go back to our pennies. All right, so we can see them there still. And I have to say, and I'll tell you what I think. See, I think this is not. Yeah, it's not a. The E has some issues. And Liberty, that's an incorrect something. I'm not exactly sure what's going on there. There's that, could be dried up grease in between. I don't think it has any value though. All right. This might be a copper. It is a copper. Oh, wow. That is really, really cool looking and interesting looking. The big question is this done at the at the mint, right? And the scratch, and we want to make sure there's no doubling also. So let me, that's what I'm going to look at right now. The Liberty has doubling. The Liberty has doubling. It could be deteriorated dye. Yeah, I'm going to have to say that there's no value on this one. The doubling that's here in the Liberty looks like it could be from deteriorated dye. And then you see some scratch marks. And my buddy Eric taught me that the reason why the letters in a lot of these mid '60s copper pennies are closer, they get closer and closer to the rim, is because of dye deterioration also. So that really goes well with what we're seeing here in the Liberty. It's pretty cool though, but it's dye deterioration most likely. And as you can see, we're already over 7 minutes in on this video, and the examination of the pennies, the coins, that looks like a nice copper penny. I can see the 68 from here. I probably would have thought that was not copper by how clean it looks on the side. But I see the date on it already, so kind of ruined it. This is a pretty clean copper penny, really clean, and surprisingly so, especially for a newer penny roll like the one that we're, a penny roll wrapper like the one that we're going through. So that's a real surprise. So let me move all this up if I can. All right. Yeah, I can see the date on it already, so I'm kind of cheating. But most of these are zinc. Even this is probably zinc. Maybe copper. Maybe copper. This one looks, the side, the edge looks like copper. But most of these are probably zinc. No double ear. No doubling on the shield. It's a nice example, though. Hard to tell. It looks like copper to me. I don't know. That reverse doesn't look copper. Yeah, see, it's a 92. Is that a dye chip? Hard to tell. There's so much gook on this one. It's really not even worth investigating. The only thing we want to see is if it has a close AM, which it does not. If it had a close AM, it would have been worth cleaning. Uh, looks like copper. Yeah, 75. That's a nice copper penny. Once you see a shield, you know it's zinc. So if you're new to the channel and you're still here after 10 minutes, God bless you, I tell you. I know a lot of people start to zone out after 10 minutes. But if you're new, either you've done penny roll hunting before or you haven't. You know, and you might not even know what penny roll hunting is. No double ear, no doubling on the shield. I don't think so. Penny roll hunting is, funny thing is, it's a little bit more, it seems so simple, but it's a little bit more complicated than I had once thought. So I'm gonna try to give the simplest definition to probably a more complicated answer than than need be. Penny roll hunting is the process of having an unsearched penny roll, right? Meaning a penny roll with 50 pennies in it, a penny wrapper that has 50 pennies in it, that you either got from the bank or some other place. You could have got it from, no extra V. You could have got it from the bank. You could have got it from eBay or some other online store. You could have got it from directly from the mint. I think the mint sells. The mint might not sell rolls. I think maybe they only sell. You might have got it from like a mint supplier. I'm going to call them a mint supplier, like Loomis, Brinks, Wells Fargo, right? Like Loomis, I know you can order. I've been on their website and I know you can order pennies from them, as well as being told by one of my members, maybe even a couple of my members told me that they order or had ordered in the past pennies from Loomis. So when I went to check it out, I did see that you could order. So you could have ordered it from a place like Loomis. Where else can you get unsearched penny rolls? You could have even got them from. You could have got them from yourself, right? You could get your own penny wrappers, and you could wrap them up yourself from your wife, your family. They can give you, hey, these are the pennies I have. I never went through them, and you could put them in a roll yourself, and then at some future date search them. So those are the basic ways people get rolls of pennies to search. Okay. Now, what are you searching for, right? That becomes the next big question. What are you searching for? If you've never done penny roll, if you're not a coin person, even if you're a coin person, to know all the different things about pennies, that's a whole nother ball game. To know the 2023 V, the 2024 errors, the 1982 variations, the difference between the different types of die clashes, strike. It's bananas, man. It takes a long time to learn that stuff. So what are you gonna do? Well, you have to know what your personal goals are. The wide AMs, the close AMs, the double ears, the double dies, the difference between the double dies and mechanical doubling. Very complicated. So the first thing, so now this wasn't going to be an instruction video, but some people just separate copper and wheat cents, right? They start off like that. The problem with that is, of course, is if you're missing die clash, if you're missing valuable errors, you're just throwing them back into the penny roll wrapper. And that's one of the issues with not knowing. If you've been watching my channel from the beginning, then you would have learned all of these different things about die clashes and strike throughs, double dies versus mechanical doubling, die deterioration, the different types of errors. You can also get yourself a coin mat. They're not really that good. They're good to begin with. But what you'll find out is that after a few months of regular penny roll hunting, that not they're not teaching you anything. They're just telling you about certain years to look for double dice. So they're kind of like a scam. I didn't even know that. I'm looking for my pointer. There's doubling here. Not here. Believe it or not, this is probably damaged. But on this part of the roof here is where the doubling is. But that's damaged. That's doubling. See how it's supposed to look? And look how wide it looks here. That's an error. Yeah, you can see the doubling right there. You can see the first strike and the second strike on the die from the hub, which is a whole nother thing to learn about minting process and different parts and stuff like that. It's a whole nother ball game. So anyway, in the beginning, there's virtually nothing you could do about missing tons and tons of errors. It's just part of the process. You either put your time into it or you don't. Hate to put it that bluntly, but that's the case. And then you have to decide how you're going to do your searching. Are you going to do it through a camera like I'm using? Are you going to use a microscope? Are you going to use a loop for each and every one of them? It's a whole nother process, right? So those are the questions, you're going to ask yourself when you're coin roll hunting. What is it that you hope to accomplish? For me, I wanted to really learn about the errors and figuring out, learning about the different types of errors. So I found a few extra V's. I found a couple wide AMs. I found a bunch of die clashes and strike throughs. I found different weights. I've weighed some. I've weighed some coins, and I found some that were out of tolerance. I found a bunch of mint state pennies, which are pennies that are in such great condition. This would have been nice. I don't know if I want to clean it or not, but you could tell the surface. Yeah, probably a grease strike. It's a little too dirty for me. I don't know if I want to clean this one or not. I don't know if it's worth my time. Probably not. I will put it down here just to look at it later. Maybe I'll change my mind on it. And then, of course, there's storage, right? So now you look through your pennies, you separate the zinc, you separate the wheat cents, you separate it. your errors. Now, what are you going to do with them now? See the circle? Now, is this from a crimp roll machine? Could be. You can see the circle there, but the circle is very, very far in. Crimp roll machine, I think, is usually out. Maybe it starts closer and it goes out. Could be from a crimp roll machine. It has no value. And then there's also learning how to do research, right? So then you figure out, oh, where am I going to store it? You're going to put them in flips. You're going to put them back in marked wrappers. Are you going to save them by year, by condition? Oh my God, it just goes on and on and on. And then there's research, right? Learning how to research. Are you reading books? Are you going on one website, two websites, three websites? How, are you learning about the different coins? What's the significance of the 2017 P? If you've been penny roll hunting and watching this channel, you know what that is. Right? It's the only year that they have a P fulfill the mint mark of a P on any penny ever. Imagine that. 160 years, 65 years. They never put a P until this year. So some people like to I hold on to these now. $2024. No extra earlobe. No significant grease strike. No doubling on the reverse. So I'll show you what I do at the end of this video, and that might help you with an idea of what you want to do, or what you don't want to do. Oh, he does that. I don't want to do that. So during this penny roll hunt, you heard me talk about a lot of things while I was looking at the pennies. But what you can't see is what I did with them off camera. And I'm going to show you today what I did with the pennies off camera. And you're going to have a very good idea and clear understanding of my process. Part of it has to do with making content for the channel. The other part is also for separation of the coins after I'm done with my videos. All right, so here we go. This is the last penny, number 50. So here I put all the zinc. That's going back into wrappers. I don't bring it back into the bank because I think that one day these zincs might be worth 2 or 3 cents a piece, and people might want to buy them. So I'm holding on to them. I'm not giving them to the bank. Here goes the copper that I found. Some of the copper I found, which we got 7 of them. So we have 7 copper here. And here are the other more significant coins. These are the 2 I think that have the double dies. They're both copper, so that's 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. We found 12 copper pennies. That's insane. That's almost a quarter copper. That's 24% copper. That's really, really great. I put this one to the side because this one is, look at the condition of this penny that I found. It's incredible. So I'm not going to put it with, it's a special penny to me. This one might be worth $1, either today or one day, because of its condition. Right? This is the one with the crimp roll error. This is the one that had the interesting texture. This one, I can't remember what it had. That's the 2017 P. I put them to the side. And then we found something on that 62 that I also can't remember right now off the top of my head. So this is how I for one penny roll, I have this pretty complicated process. And then even these go into different penny wrappers depending on condition. Oh, this one's not a copper. All right. So I said 12, so it's 11. I don't know how that one snuck in there. We have 11 of them, 22%, still great. All right, so that's a little insight into my process. Right now, what I'll do is I'll do short videos. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and then maybe I'll do a number 9 on some of these, on those copper pennies. And that's my video day. Hope you enjoyed. Please click like and subscribe. God bless. This is episode 460. I want to say 3. Let's see. Yeah, 463. I'll see you in episode 464.